Alright guys, as promised, we're gonna do a video on Tether. Now this is gonna be a documentary-like way because we're gonna look at the history of Tether, but we're also gonna look at the dangers and risks that are associated with Tether because, long story short, when you are evaluating your relationships, you have to look at the history of the person or business contact that you want to start a relationship, right? And this is a hard lesson that I've learned throughout my life because a lot of girls that I've seen, if I took a look at their history, I wouldn't have wasted so much time. And maybe you feel the same way, but a lot of business relationships are kind of the same way. And if you take a look at Tether's relationships, a lot of them are a sketch. If you take a look at their chief regulatory officer, it's pretty much the same kind of person that was running regulatory compliance for FTX. So if that doesn't raise red flags for you, then I don't know what will. But anyways, other than that, let's just go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. Let's get right into looking at who is Tether, where are they, and what's wrong with them? Alright guys, so to start off, I want to talk about the history of Tether. But before we get there, remind you that there are timestamps in the description so you can jump into sections that you're interested in. But with regards to Tether, Tether has been around for 7 or 8 years or so, and it hit $1 billion of market cap when Bitcoin hit $20,000 at the end of 2017. Now, almost every exchange supports USDT, which is the digital currency that comes from Tether. So they say that 1 USDT is redeemable for $1, though the reserves of Tether is really not that transparent. The makeup of Tether's reserves and how it works is still very much shrouded in mystery. So Protos did a number on Tether and they found that 2 companies, Alameda Research and Cumberland Global, were responsible for 2/3 of the Tether that was circulating in the ecosystem. It was discovered that Tether issued $108.5 billion worth of Tether, USDT, and they received $32.7 billion worth of USDT in the same period. So they're issuing more USDT than there are redemptions. And the majority of the USDT was sent to market makers and liquidity providers. So in the pinned comments below, I'm going to reference the Tether paper because in that paper, there are references of the partners that Tether deals with, one of them being IFINX. Now, IFINX, Bitfinex, Tether, it's really hard to locate where they are because there are no actual offices. Their organization is a mesh of shell companies running out of British Virgin Islands, Hong Kong, Switzerland, and other jurisdictions. And get this, the owners of IFINX are actually the 2-man team, J.R. Vandervelde and CFO Giancarlo Devasani. Now these two are also the 2-man team leading Bitfinex and Tether apparently. Now aside from IFINX, there are other parties as well, one of them being Nexo, who has been served cease and desist orders by New York's Attorney General to stop offering crypto services to users of New York. Aside from that, there's also Hika, which might not be as well known, but they move hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Tether. But these guys, they have no website, no internet presence, and there's no real way to reach out to them. Some others that I don't have to highlight include 3AC and Jump Crypto, which we might know about because 3AC blew up earlier in this year. And there's also Christopher Harburn, who showed up with his web of shell companies on the Panama Papers, so that's no good. And Protos revealed that Tether actually issued Chris Harburn more than $70 million in Tether under his Thai name in 2019. So when people are hiding under other aliases, I think that's really sketch, don't you think? So to sum up this section, nobody really knows what amount of their commercial papers make up the reserve. We know that they lend out USDT in over-collateralized loans, but how those operations work is still shrouded in mystery. Alameda Research and Cumberland Global both puts blind trust that 1 USDT is redeemable for $1, that they are fully backed by Tether's reserves, and that Tether has enough cash on hand to service redemptions. So basically, for FTX and Alameda, they are kind of like the retail investors who just put blind faith on their provider, which is Tether. It's kind of funny how things come full circle. And I just got to remind you guys that we're adults now. We don't have to be insecure. We don't have to second guess ourselves, right? When things feel sketch, we can leave. When you are second guessing yourself that the girl that you're seeing maybe is seeing someone else, that you are not their only sugar baby, that is your chance. That is your signal that you can leave. Unless they are paying you really, really well, then I would recommend you stay because it's a hard time these days. We have inflation, we have rising hikes. You know, you got to get by somehow. Now, I want to touch on this story that FTX collapse and Tether operations have links to this online poker cheating scandal, and this really falls back to FTX's chief regulatory officer, Daniel S. Friedberg. Now, this dude has a checkered past because he was involved in a very high-profile cover-up of insider cheating scandals at Ultimate Bets. Now, this is not the only place he did it. He has done these sort of things in multiple places, but he was never caught. So his role in traditional finance, because of his past, kind of wiped him out. You know, people won't do business with that guy. So he found a place in crypto, and he found a place in FTX. Now, SBF surprisingly hired the guy as CRO, Chief Regulatory Officer. Maybe he didn't do his due diligence, or maybe he just plain didn't care. But you know, what's done is done. So you're asking how this relates to Tether, right? So how this relates to Tether is Friedberg's co-worker, Stuart Hogner, is now doing the exact same job that Friedberg was doing, but instead of doing it for FTX, they're doing it for Tether. So I assume that they are the CRO, Chief Regulatory Officer for Tether, and they are as sketch as Friedberg, so things don't look good. So what we know is that Tether distributes USDT to market makers and liquidity providers, right? And this totaled around 97 billion. And Protos found that of that 97 billion in August 2021, FTX, Alameda, and Cumberland Global made up 60.3 billion of that 97 billion distributed. Tether sent 36.7 billion to Alameda and other addresses that they owned. So they make up the retail leg of Tether's strategy. Cumberland Global got the other 60.3 billion, or the remainder of it. So if you don't know who Cumberland Global is, they are a subsidiary of DRW, which is one of the world's biggest traders. And they're good because they are well known within the elite crypto circle, but they are relatively unknown with regards to retail. Now, DRW was founded in 1992 by Donald R. Wilson. This guy has the same name as me, but I don't have the money. And they had a grueling 5-year battle with the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, so the CFTC, and they won that battle. And this battle was over alleged market manipulation. So that, guys, is a checkered history that I want no part of. Again, guys, the pro tip here is always look into the history of people, of business relationships that you're looking to invest in. I mean, history tells a lot. If you get into that mindset, then you could free yourself from a lot of pain and drama. Now, here's the thing. Cumberland is the #1 provider of liquidity in crypto, thanks to Tether. Now, these guys are basically Binance's primary liquidity provider, which makes you think, if Cumberland or Tether collapses, then who do you think is going to collapse? Any ideas? Bueller? Yeah, Binance. So details of DRW's role in crypto is still shrouded in mystery. But how I see it is that Cumberland is the last leg standing for Tether. They are the institutional leg for Tether. Their retail leg is gone with Alameda Research and FTX. Now, here's the thing. Tether has never faced a large amount of redemptions, which makes you think, if a bank run does happen, do they have in the reserve to service those redemptions? If there is a bank run, what do you think will happen? Comment down below. And with that said, with all this crazy stuff you're hearing coming out of the woodworks, I think you're out of your mind if you don't get a ledger and an Apricorn. This is cold storage for crypto so that you cannot get your accounts frozen. This is for your seed phrases for your ledger. Has a pin pad in it. If you open this up, there's a pin pad in it, so only you who know the pin can access the files inside. So make sure to get both of them in the pinned comments below. If you don't know how to use Ledger, check out this video right here. That's what it's made for. Now, when you go around on crypto Twitter and sleuth a little bit, you might find Kyle Bass's post on Tether that they had 6 different auditors in the last 5 years. Now, remember guys, Tether is a $66 to $7 billion firm, and they don't have the money to hire a Big 4 accountant. Now that is sketch. Now what I'm showing you here is Tether's Consolidated Reserves report. And on page 3 report, they say something interesting. We draw attention to the following in the accompanying CRR. The valuation of the assets of the group have been based on normal trading conditions and does not reflect unexpected and extraordinary market conditions, or the case of key custodians or counterparties experiencing substantial illiquidity, which may result in delayed realizable values. No provision for expected credit losses was identified by management at the reporting date. Tether Holdings Limited and its wholly owned subsidiaries are defendant in 2 ongoing civil litigation proceedings, the outcomes of which cannot be reasonably reliably estimated by management and its counsel. No provision was recognized by management. So what that tells me is that in case of extreme conditions, Tether has no plan. Does that make you feel safe, guys? Because to me, it doesn't. So even with their own consolidated reserves report, their accountants themselves said that they can't express an opinion or conclusion because they haven't done any of their procedures on Tether. What they were given were notes from Tether, so they can only really draw from those notes and their own exposure to the company. And to me, just because I'm biased, Tether, again, like I said, is like a $70 billion company, and they went to Italy to find some accountant from Italy instead of the big four, which they can't afford, I assume. So another life tip is when people are hiding something, yeah, what they're hiding is probably not going to be good for you. So I know that most of you don't read the terms of service, so I'm going to read to you the most important parts. So Tether reserves the right to delay the redemption or withdrawal of Tether tokens if such delay is necessitated by the illiquidity or unavailability or loss of any reserves held by Tether to back the Tether tokens. The Tether reserves the right to redeem Tether tokens by in-kind redemptions of securities and other assets held in the reserves. When it comes to withdrawals and deposits, you acknowledge that Tether may delay or suspend redemption under various circumstances, including but not limited to in the event that Tether determines that you have engaged in a prohibited use as defined in paragraph 8, when Tether is directed to do so by any government if your digital token, wallet, or other account or wallet is subject to pending litigation, investigation, or government proceedings, or whether Tether believes that someone is attempting to gain unauthorized access to your digital tokens, wallet, or other account or wallet. Digital tokens are not legal tender and not backed by any government. Digital tokens are not subject to Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, or Securities Investors Protection Corporation protections. The most important part, limitation of liability and release. Except as may be provided in these terms of service, Tether assumes no liability or responsibility for and shall not have no liability or responsibility for any claim application, loss, injury, delay, accident cost, business interruption cost, or any other expenses, nor any incidental, direct, indirect, general, special, punitive, exemplary, or consequential damages, loss of goodwills or business profits, work stoppages, data loss, computer arising from or malfunction, and any other commercial losses directly or indirectly arising out or related to. So this is how I interpret those terms of service. If you decide to hold USDT, if you decide to hold Tether, if Tether decides to not service your withdrawals or deposits, there is nothing you can do. If you have any sort of loss financially or otherwise, you cannot go and sue Tether because from the limitation of liability, you basically waive that right. So everything here stacks in favor of Tether, and you basically have nothing if they go under. So guys, basically you can call me a futter. It's not the first time anyone called me a futter, but you gotta ask your question. What do you value? I value honesty and transparency in any dealings that I deal with, right? Whether people, businesses, or otherwise. And I don't see a lot of that in Tether and the partners that they work with. I mean, like Nexo, FTX, Alameda, Binance. I don't trust any of them. So that's my thoughts about this. What are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comments below and share this video with someone you think or know might be holding Tether so they can know the dangers and risks that are associated with Tether. I mean, if Tether falls, let me tell you this, there is nobody out there that can bail out Tether. That's just the bottom line. So be really careful with this one, guys. Other than that, guys, that's all I have for today. Make sure to smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, check out other videos on cryptocurrencies and passive income. And remember, guys, don't forget to keep working, keep building, keep inspiring. I'll see you next time.